What's up, gamers? It's Grant coming at you with another SpiritVale guide. Today I want to share everything I can think of that's helpful for beginners. All the questions I've answered from my friends on the Discord all in one place. As we're in a playtest, some things are of course going to change, but let's dive in. Real quick, what is SpiritVale? I've started describing it as an MMO ARPG because it's an old school MMO inspired game with modern responsive combat and in-depth build crafting. It has a strong community and the game design encourages player cooperation. If you want to know why I think you should play it, check out the video I made in the description. A couple of clarifications about the playtest. It's going to go until early access launch, which is mid-2026. It's playable full-time until then. There's no weekend-based testing dates or anything, but there are a lot of changes and regular updates. In the month since I've started playing, there's been 2 new classes, 5 new zones, new gear, bosses, etc. In terms of server selection, just pick whichever has the best ping for you. A couple things to note, you can swap between them and visit them as you like. Your characters persist across all of them, and as an example, you can trade with people on other servers. In SpiritVale, there are 7 base classes, with 5 currently released advanced classes that you can transform into at job level 50. So character and job level are separate in this game. Eventually, base classes will have multiple options to choose from. You can see that on the roadmap page of the Discord. When you're first starting, the MMO ARPG / old school MMO influence immediately shows. You aren't really told where to go or what to do. Thankfully, you're watching this video, so I'll give you some guidance. But you should understand the general design behind the game. It's not a quest simulator, so don't expect to be guided through quest chains or kill X mobs to get Y reward. So some initial tips and things to know. You want to talk to the Waybinder to get your Waystone. It's kind of like Hearthstone and WoW, but it doesn't have a cooldown. And you can find this in your inventory here on the consumables page. Second thing you want to do is make sure you talk to the waypoint. This shows the world map. It shows levels of zones. You can click into a zone and see what monsters are in that zone, what are their various drops, what are the drop rates. You can also see what elements they're weak or strong towards. But this is a really helpful way to understand sort of where you might want to level as you progress through the game. Secondly, you want to make sure you go to your settings, press escape, go to gameplay and turn on fast casting. You're going to thank me later for this, but this means you don't have to press a skill twice and you can just hover mobs and press the button when you add a skill to your bar. And then finally, there's a dodge roll in this game. It is the yellow bar. When you press space, your character dodge rolls and you have some iframes. And one more tip that folks don't realize for a while. Obviously, you can hold right click to rotate the camera, but if you hold shift and right click, you can pan the camera, which really helps for certain zones and sort of navigating the game. So to give a brief overview of the NPCs in the game, first you have the Waybinder, which allows you to reset both your skills and attributes at any time, so feel free to experiment with those. Over here is the healer. After you die, you'll have low health, so you can just talk to the healer to get reset to full HP. Moving over to the left, we have the stylist. If you want to change anything about your character's appearance, you can do that. You can randomize it, apply it, also free. You might have noticed when I was looking at the map tab and the drop pool that enemies drop cards in this game. So every enemy in the game has a card pretty much that has various effects, from giving you increased attack or triggering an auto cast of a spell or increasing attack speed or movement speed. They have different slots they apply to. The Weaver will remove those cards from the slots for a very low fee. So you can feel free to experiment with those as well. You don't have to think of cards as being a one-time use item at all. Over here you have the bank. So gold is shared across all of your characters automatically, but you can share gear across your characters as well. One thing to know about the bank is that it is storing unique items when it considers its weight. It's not just, the heaviness of the item like it is in your inventory. So you can have infinite numbers of, materials theoretically, whereas your character obviously has a weight limit. If I were to pick these up, my weight limit is going up, but when I put them in the bank, it doesn't change. So this is a really good way to store materials long term, which I'll get into a little bit later. Over here we have the material vendor. Over here you can sell and buy. The things that you can buy are these shards that are used for upgrading gear and equipment between levels 1 to 5, and chunks are from levels 7 to 9. So these are going to be used in the refinement system, which I'll cover later in the video. You can also find them out in the world as well. Finally, there's 2 more NPCs that are really important. One being the blacksmith, which is where you refine gear. This is where you use those shards, like I mentioned, and increasing gold cost and reducing success chance as you proceed with upgrading an item. You can also upgrade artifacts here. And then finally, the gemsmith. Throughout the game, you will find gems. They have quite low drop rates, but they give you increased damage per refine. Refine meaning successfully completing one of these. And this is another way to increase your character's damage. Another question I see new people ask a lot is, where do I go? So you can just walk north into the first map, which is Sunny Meadows. After killing a few mobs, you'll get 2 types of levels. Base levels that give you attributes, and job levels, which give you skills. So which skills should you pick? Generally, you're just going to want to test things out and see what you like. The game is very open and descriptive about the scaling of abilities. When you find an ability that sounds cool, just equip the gear with the attribute that makes it stronger and scales it. For example, Soul Strike scales off of both int and strength at the same rate, which is in the green, and the yellow text describes the current stat bonus I'm gaining from those attributes. Just to briefly go over the stats, Strength increases your attack with melee weapons, Vitality increases HP and defense, which is physical defense, Dexterity increases your attack with ranged weapons, your hit chance, which you don't usually have to worry about until a little bit later in the game, and your cast time reduction, which is why you'll often see casters getting some dex. Agility increases your flee and attack speed. Flee is your evade chance, which is also reduced by number of enemies that are around you. Intelligence increases your magic attack, mana, and magic defense. And then luck increases your crit and crit damage. So generally, Vitality, int, and Agility all have defensive components to them. Vitality giving you HP and physical defense, int giving you magic defense, and Agility giving you flee, which is reduced by how many enemies are attacking you. The last thing I'll generally say here, and you should definitely poke through these stats on your own and read some of the tooltips, but the attack speed cap in the game is increased by your agility, as well as getting attack speed on various pieces of gear or artifacts. And the maximum attack speed is 193 or 7.14 attacks per second. For some general leveling tips, just look at what your damaging skills scale off of and try to get that on your gear. Vitality is good to get broadly because it increases your HP. And don't feel bad farming in a zone that's lower than your current level. It's better to kill things faster than it is to fight at level monsters. Conversely, if you're feeling really strong, don't hesitate to go to zones higher than your current level. You really just want to farm where it's comfortable. I generally advise to pick everything up while you're leveling and sort it once you become overweight. Once you become overweight, you'll become very slow, so you want to just use your waystone. Go ahead and dash to the bank. And the first thing you want to do is just put all the materials in here. Like I said before, it doesn't count the weight limit of these items, it counts the unique versions of the items. And then you go over here to the material vendor, and before you sell things, make sure you hover over items that you want to keep and press F, which adds a star to the item and favorites it. So when you go to the crafter and you click sell, you can just sell the items that are not favorited. You'll also find these items in your consumables tab known as boss summons or lures. Boss summons drop into every map with a 0.3% drop rate and spawn the boss from that map when used there. I think most players have had this experience where they either summon or run into a boss in the zone they're leveling and get absolutely destroyed. This is what's supposed to happen. These bosses aren't designed to be fought in the level range of the map, but when you're squarely past it in character power. For now, just save these summons in your bank. Another question I get from new players is how refining works and what they should refine. So here are some tips on refining. Remember, you can buy the early refining materials here at this vendor, the materials vendor, and refine items here at the blacksmith. There's an increasing gold cost in both the raw gold and the materials used, though you can drop them in maps. There's no benefit to refining accessories unless explicitly stated. And some gear says you get X increase per refine. These are often weapons, but there are other slots as well. And every piece other than accessories and utility has a base defense and magic defense value that is increased by +1 per refine. This is not a huge upgrade, and it's not worth worrying about early game. It's something that you only do when you're further in the game. Finally, I wanted to give some advice on how to progress a character. This is just one example, but hopefully it helps you learn the gearing system a little bit more. So let's say you want more attack speed or to cap your attack speed. In addition to putting points into agility, how would you go about finding gear for that? First, this image from the Discord shows the affixes or rolls, the blue text, that items can roll. Second, look up equipment with attack speed implicits, i.e. things that are inherent to the item, on the SpiritVale wiki. Third, look at the artifacts. And finally, check out the cards. When you're searching using the site, be sure to use the same phrasing as the affix in the game. So for attack speed, you would put ATK SPD, otherwise you won't get any results. As you can see, there's a lot more depth to this game than initially meets the eye, but hopefully this gives you a sense of direction and answers some of the more commonly confusing questions. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments and I'll help you as best as I can. I plan on making an intermediate guide to cover some of the more intricate game mechanics in the future, but if there's something you'd like me to cover in a future video, drop it in a comment below. And as always, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks.